Hello, welcome back. We are going to continue to read the novel Lord of the Mysteries by Cuttlefish That Loves Diving, Volume 1. Last time we read up chapters 94, 95, 96. I think. Yeah, there was a whole lot of talking. Aljo was telling us about the secret organization, focusing mainly on the Moses ascetic order and the hidden sage. Then Klein went. Oh, Klein was looking at one of the crimson stars and he noticed someone praying, but he couldn't understand the language and he thought it was related to ancient Fesak or ancient Jotun language. And then, oh, he went to the divination club and then those couple of people were talking about the mummy powder. And then yeah, and then Dunn talked whole lot of about like the sequences and daily about daily. Yeah, mainly about daily and how she's progressing. Okay, let's continue with chapter 97, Combat Teacher. Oh yeah, Plan has to do his combat training. At 2 in the afternoon, outside the simple two-storied building that was in despair at the outskirts of Northborough, Clan was in his probationary inspector uniform, looked at the weed-filled garden and the vines that had crept up the walls. He turned his head in surprise. My combat instructor lives here? Shouldn't a combat artist who was selected by the Nighthawks be exceptional? Leonard Mitchell, who had guided Klein here, snickered and said, Don't underestimate Mr. Gawain. Don't underestimate Mr. Gawain because of his residence surroundings. Although he was never conferred an aristocratic title, he was a true knight back in the day. Having said that, the poetic Nighthawk, who was dressed in a white shirt, black trousers, and buttonless leather boots, suddenly felt melancholic. Melancholic. He was active during the waning era of the knights. The warriors donning their armors would storm through enemy ranks despite the gunfire and cannon fire, destroying their enemies and redefining the battle lines. But alas, they were quickly met with the invention of the high pressure steam guns and six-barrel machine guns. From then on, the knights had to gradually step down. Mr. Gawain met the same fate. More than 20 years ago, the Ava Knights Order of Chivalry faced the most advanced weaponry of the Indus Republic Army. Every time I recall this, it seems like I'm touching the dust heaps of history. The poet in me stirs when thinking of this irreversible and fated destiny. But alas, I do not know how to compose the poem. Then what's the point in saying so much? Klein acted oblivious to Leonard's self-deprecation and gave a serious suggestion. My university schoolmate once told me that the composing of poems requires a certain degree of talent. It's best you start by reading classical poems of anthology of the Low End Kingdom. Leonard's mood changed on a whim, and he replied with a light-hearted tone. I purchased that book a long time ago, as well as other titles such as the selected poems of Roselle. I'll work hard to become true midnight poem, Mr. Sear. Is he hinting at the acting method? Klein replied as though he couldn't understand him. You would still need books on grammar. All right, let's enter. Leonard extended his hand and pushed open the half closed metallic gates. The two of them then followed the path towards the house. They were still a distance away from the house when Klein saw a tall man walking out from behind the main door. He had short blond hair, his brows already laced with white hairs. His facial features looked like they had been ravaged through age. His wrinkles etched deep across his face. What are you doing here? The aged man asked in a deep voice. Mr. Garvin, as per your contract with the police department, this probationary inspector will be learning the art of combat under your guidance, Leonard explained with a smile. Combat? No need to study combat in this era. Gawain looked at Klein with turbid eyes and said in a dead voice, you should learn how to draw your gun and shoot. You should master the most advanced weaponry. Was this the psychological trauma caused by the six-barrel machine gun and high-pressure steam guns? Klein didn't give a reckless reply. Instead, he smiled and looked at Leonard. The art of combat is still a skill a policeman has to master. Most of the criminals we face are not those who must be executed on the spot. Some might not even have weapons. In that case, we have to rely on combat techniques, Leonard said, obviously prepared for the situation. With a dark expression, Gavin fell silent for more than 10 seconds before saying, throw a punch. He was speaking to Klein. Klein, who was not holding his cane, remembered the boxing matches he had seen in his previous life. He raised his arm and threw it forward. Gawain's lips twitched indiscernibly. He thought for a moment and said, kick. Tilting to the side slightly and twisting his hips, Klein tightened his thigh muscles and kicked forward with his right foot. Cough. Gawain covered his mouth and cleared his throat. He looked at Leonard and said, I will honor my contract. But, based on his foundation, he needs to come here 4 times a week, 3 hours each. 3 hours each time for the first month. You're the combat expert. It's up to you. Leonard nodded without hesitation. He smiled and said to Klein, see you at dinner. After Leonard walked out the metallic gates, Klein asked out of curiosity, Instructor, how should I begin practicing? Punching or footwork? As a qualified keyboard warrior, he understood the importance of footwork in combat. Gawain stood akimbo as what does that mean? As he shook his head lethargically. What you need now is strength training. See those? Those are 2 dumbbells made of steel. They shall be your partners for today. Other than that, you also have to practice deep squats, running, and rope skipping. Let us take those one set at a time. While Klein was still in a daze, Gawain suddenly raised his voice and said sternly, Understood? Understood. At this moment, Klein felt as though he had returned to the military training and was facing an inhumane instructor. Change out of your clothes. There's a set of knight's training clothes on the sofa. Gawain suddenly sighed. He turned around and walked towards the black steel dumbbells. 6 in the evening at the corner table of Old Will restaurant. Other than Fry, who was guarding Janus Gate, all the members of the Blackthorn Security Company were present. There were 6 Nighthawks and 5 civilian staff. A white tablecloth was draped across the long table. Waiters carried over plates of food, portioned them before serving them to each individual guest. Klein saw steaks drenched in black pepper sauce. He saw bacon, sausages paired with mashed potatoes, egg puddings, asparagus, and specialty cheeses. He even saw rose-tinted champagne. However, he had no appetite. The training in the afternoon had nearly made him vomit. Noticing the pale, newly inducted Nighthawk with turbid eyes, Dunn raised the glass of red wine in front of him and laughed. Let us welcome our newest official member, Clan Moretti. Cheers. The cold and introverted black-haired lady, Royale Redine, the sleepless Kenley White, the sloppy Leonard Mitchell, as well as the white-haired, black-eyed midnight poet Sika Tron, all raised their cups and looked at the new member of their team. Clan fought back the discomfort of training and raised his glass of amber champagne. He stood and said, Thank you. He clinked his glasses with every Nighthawk, tilted his head back, and finished the small amount of champagne. Is our Miss Author not going to say something on this occasion? Dunn smiled as he looked at Sikatron. Sikatron was the lady in her 30s. She had average looks, but had exceptional demeanor. one that was quiet and serene. Coupled with few strands of graying hair, yeah, it added a unique charm to her. Clan had heard old Neil mention that this midnight poet had taken on the side job as an author and had attempted to submit her works to newspapers and magazines. Unfortunately, only a few newspapers had accepted them. Sika smiled and looked at Dunn. In order to make the term Miss Author into a reality, Captain, I think should give me some funds to self publish my work. Dunn laughed. You should learn from old Neil and give me more suitable reason. I'm most impressed with Mr. Neil in this department. Roseanne echoed in between her mouthfuls of roast mutton. Amidst the chatter and laughter, Leonard looked at Klein and said with a chuckle, are you so tired that you have no appetite to eat? Yeah, Klein sighed. If you haven't touched your food yet, I can be of assistance. Leonard acted as though he didn't want to waste any food. Klein didn't mind. He nodded and said, that wouldn't be an issue. And with that, good portion of the food in front of him was eaten by Leonard and the rest. Nearing the end of the dinner, the waiter served plates of beef pudding. Beef pudding and ice cream? Oh. Clan tasted the ice cream and found it cold and sweet. It was particularly appetizing. Before he realized it, he had finished the ice cream drizzled with blueberry sauce. And as a result of this, he started to feel the hunger pangs. It, it was a hunger which demanded recharging food that came after intense exertion. Swallowing his saliva, Clan looked at the front only to see that all the plates were empty. There were no leftovers. Let's end the dinner here and give Clan a final toast. Before finishing his sentence, Clan asked, Captain, may I order another plate of food? The group fell silent after hearing such a request, only to break into chuckles moments later. Your finally recovered. No problem. Order 2 plates if you want. And shook his head and laughed. While patiently waiting an unbearable amount of time, Klein heard his stomach growling. Finally, a freshly prepared black pepper steak was served before him. His fork and knife danced as Klein finished the medium done steak in 90 seconds, tears nearly tears nearly falling from his eyes. The meat juices and the fragrance of the sauce lingered in his mouth. Some time later, Klein let out a satisfied sigh as he looked at his empty plate. He put down his knife and fork and took a sip of his champagne. Waiter, the bill, please. Dunn turned around and called for the waiter. The waiter went to the counter and returned with a check. He gave a thorough breakdown. You opened five bottles of Desi champagne, each bottle being 12 soldi and 3 pence. A small glass of Southwell red wine for 10 pence. Each black pepper beef steak was 1 soldi 2 pence. Each serving of beef pudding was 6 pence, and the servings of ice cream was 1 soldi each. Total would be £5, 9 soldi and 6 pence. That's nearly my weekly salary. A restaurant is indeed much more expensive than eating at home. Client clicked his tongue upon hearing that. He felt lucky that Captain had said he didn't need to pay out of his own pocket. They had some petty cash from the bonus earnings. He calculated the cost carefully and noticed that the most expensive portion of the meal was the alcohol. 5 bottles of champagne had cost more than £3. This is no different from Earth. Clarence secretly rubbed his stomach and forced down last of his champagne. The next morning, Clarence felt bloated. He tried to get off the bed in his sleepy stupor. Just as he exerted strength, he was instantly awakened by his aching muscles. He felt as though his body wasn't under his control. What a familiar feeling. It's the same as that day after we got punished with frog jumps. Today is a rest day, but I still have to pay a visit to my mentor and see if I can borrow the monograph on the Parnassus main peak from the library at the university. Client's lips twitched as he made his way outside with some effort. He wanted to draw a gasp with every step. Client, what happened to you? Melissa, who had just come out of the bathroom, sized up her brother suspiciously for his odd posture and slow movement. 98. Chapter 98. Mr. Isaac. Faced with his sister's questions, all Klein could do was reply with a regretful smile. Sore muscles. He originally believed that by consuming the sequence potion, his constitution would be enhanced as a beyonder. But the harsh reality told him that the CS stats points were all allocated to his spirituality, mind, intuition, and interpretation. It did it didn't aid him in adjusting to combat training quickly. As for the original client, he had focused on his studies early on and had suffered from malnutrition that had led him to possess a below average physical condition. The fact that he was having after effects from working out was to be expected. Sore muscles? I remember you returning after dinner that last night and you didn't do anything else. Does alcohol cause sore muscles? Melissa inquired with an inquisitive look. Does alcohol cause sore muscles? That question can't help but make me have inappropriate thoughts. Klein laughed dryly and said, No, this has nothing to do with alcohol. It was from yesterday afternoon. I joined the company's combat training. Combat training? Melissa was more astonished, even more astonished. Klein organized his thoughts and said, Well, this is what happened. I considered it and believed that as a historical and relic consultant of a security company, it's impossible for me to stay in the office or port warehouse forever. Perhaps there'll come a day when I have to accompany them to the villages or the ancient castle, or an ancient castle to the site of some relic. That might require me to hike, to cross rivers, and to walk a lot. I'll have to endure all sorts of tests posed by nature, so I have to possess a sufficiently healthy body. So you joined combat training to enhance your stamina? Melissa seems to understand her brother's intent. That's right, Klein answered with great affirmation. Melissa said with a frown. But that isn't gentlemanly. Don't you always keep yourself to the standard of a professor? A professor only requires the ability to read historical documents, ponder over difficult questions, and maintain a polite and gentlemanly demeanor. Of course, I'm not saying those aren't all good things. I prefer men who can solve problems on their own, regardless of whether that solution requires brawn or brain. Melissa smiled. Klein smiled and said, No, 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 Melissa, your definition of a professor contains a misconception. A true professor can communicate with people gently and politely, but he can also educate the other person using principles of physics by raising a cane to convince someone when there is an obstacle in communication. Principles of physics? Melissa was momentarily at a loss, but she quickly understood what her brother was saying. She was suddenly unable to retort him. Klein didn't say anything more but widened his space with great difficulty as he headed to the bathroom. Melissa stood there and looked for a few seconds. She suddenly shook her head and caught up to Klein. Do you need my help? She posed as if she was supporting someone. No, there's no need to. I was having it up a bit earlier. Klein felt humiliated. He suddenly stood straight and walked normally. Watching her brother walk steadily to the washroom and close the door, Melissa pursed her lips and muttered, Klein is getting more and more pretentious. I even believed that his muscle soreness really was that serious. In the bathroom, Klein stood behind the tightly shut door, his face suddenly contorting in pain. Ouch, ouch, ouch. He held his breath, tensed his body, and stood there for a good 7 or 8 seconds. When he finally went downstairs with great effort, had breakfast, and saw Benson and Melissa off, his soreness finally began to ease. As for resting for a little while, Klein took his cane, donned his top hat, and left the house, strolling towards the public carriage stop. During the summer, Coy University had trees with shade providing foliage, flourishing with birds and luxuriant flowers. It was peaceful and calm. Walking along the river, Client took a turn towards the history department. Then he found the three-story building, which showed its age and located his mentor, Owen Quinton's office. He knocked and entered the room, but he was shocked to see that the man sitting in the mentor's seat was the academic Isaac. Good morning, Mr. Isaac. Where's my mentor? We made an appointment by letter to meet here at 10. Client asked, puzzled. Isaac, who was Cohen Quinton's best friend and often debated with his mentor regarding academic topics, smiled and said, Cohen had a last minute meeting and went to Tingan University. He asked me to wait for you here. He had bronze skin, an average height and build, black hair, brown eyes, and gentle facial features. Being in his presence brought an indescribable feeling, as though you could see in the man's eyes that he had been through vicissitudes of life. Under his right eye there was a tiny mole that wouldn't be noticed unless closely examined. Having said the reason, Isaac suddenly frowned as he carefully observed Clan. Feeling confused by the sudden scrutiny, Clan looked at his attire. Have I committed some breach of etiquette? Tuxedo, black vest, white shirt, black bow tie, dark colored trousers, leather boots with no buttons. Everything seems normal. Isaac's brows eased and he chuckled softly. Don't mind me. I suddenly noticed that you are way more energetic than before. You even you look even more like a gentleman now. Thank you for your compliment. Klein accepted it calmly and asked, Mr. Isaac, did my mentor manage to find the book Research of the Honassis main peaks relics in the school library? He found it with my assistants, Isaac said, smiling gently. He then pulled open a drawer and took out a grey covered book. You, you are no longer at Khoi University student. You are no longer a Khoi University student anymore. You can read it here, but you cannot take it home. All right. Delightfully took the academic monograph and with a hint of fear. The book's design was fully in line with current trends. It used hard paper as a hardcover and it was printed with an image like an abstract version of the main peak of Onassis mountain range. Client took a glance and found a seat. He flipped open the book and started reading carefully, line by line. As he became engrossed in the book, he suddenly realized that there was a cup of rich and fragrant coffee by his side. Help yourself, help yourself to sugar and milk. As it put down the silver saucer and pointed at the milk jar and the sugar container. Thank you, Clan nodded with gratitude. He added 3 cubes of sugar and a teaspoon of milk before continuing to read his book. The book, Research of the Honassis Main Peaks Relics, was not a very thick book. Clan finished reading it when it was almost noon. He took note of a few noteworthy points. First, the settlement on the main peak of Onassis Mountain and its surrounding area was obviously an advanced civilization which existed as a part of an ancient nation. Second, from their wall murals, their perspective on life appears similar to that of humans. I can assume for now that they were human. Third, they revered yet feared the darkness of the night. Hence, they called their god the ruler of Evernight, Mother of Sky. Fourth, the weirdest part is that researchers haven't found any graves in the entire area, which initially seemed to indicate that the people didn't need to be buried because they didn't die. However, that would be contradictory to the contents of wall murals. In the wall murals, the people in the nation believed that death was not the end. They believed that their deceased family would protect them in the night. Hence, they would keep their deceased family members at home, on their bed by their side, for full 3 days. There's nothing beyond that for the wall murals as it doesn't involve burials. Client took another sip of coffee and continued to write down his afterthought in his notebook. Mother of the Sky. Sky Mother is such a grand title, while the ruler of the Evernight obviously overlaps with the Evernight goddess. Is this a contradiction at its root? In the ancient remains on the main peak of Parnassus mountain range and its surrounding area, every arrangement and decoration was well preserved. Even the wall murals didn't have any signs of damage. Before it was discovered, there seemed to be no disturbances at all. The table was arranged with cutlery, there were dried stains of rot on the dining plates. In some rooms, there were half filled bottles of alcohol that had almost turned into plain water. What happened to the nation's people? They seem to have left their homes in a hurry without taking anything with them and had never returned. Considering how there were no burial grounds, this only makes it weirder. The author, Mr. Joseph, also mentioned that when he first discovered the remains, he even had the belief that the people residing there had just vanished all of a sudden. Klein stopped writing and cast his gaze at an illustration. On John Joseph's third visit to the main peak of the Honassus mountain range, he had used a new camera model to shoot a monochrome photograph. In the photo, the lofty palace had a collapsed wall and was overgrown with weeds. It followed a grandeur style of its design. For its design, when he flipped the photograph, Klein's first thought was that of a palace he had seen in his dream. The two styles were identical. The only difference was that the one he had dreamed of was on a peak and it was way more magnificent. It also had a huge chair, a seat of honor that looked like it didn't seat a human. Countless translucent maggots clustered together and squirmed softly beneath the chair. I can confirm that my dream is related to the ancient remains on the main peak of Onassis mountain range. That should be the nation of Evernight which was referenced in Antigonus family's notebook. Klein nodded slightly and closed the book. At that moment, Azik, who was sitting opposite him, touched the inconspic- incon- inconspicuous mole under his right ear and said, "How was it? Found anything?" "Quite a bit. Take a look. I have written so many pages of notes." Klein pointed at the table and smiled. "I don't understand why you are suddenly so interested in this matter." Azik sighed and said, "Klein, when I was studying at the Backland University, I had dabbled in some divination and did quite a bit of research on that. Well, I discovered that there is a disharmony in your fate." "What? Divination? Are you talking to me about divination?" As a seer, Klein looked at Azik the academic in amusement. "How is it disharmonious?" Azik thought for a moment. "Have you encountered many strange coincidences in the past 2 months?" Coincidences? As he was indebted indebted to Mr. Azik, Klein didn't dispute his question as he subconsciously began thinking. If we are talking about coincidences, the most obvious matter was when we were off after kidnappers. We actually managed to find clues of the Antagonist family's notebook that was lost for days in the room opposite the kidnappers. Also, Ray Bieber didn't flee from Tingen in a hurry. Instead, he found a place to digest the power bestowed by the notebook, allowing for the sealed artifact 2049 to track him down easily. That seems to be against common sense. Although Ayor Hassan gave a reasonable explanation, I always had a nagging feeling that it was somewhat coincidental. Oh, and Serena had stolen a glance at Hannah Vincent's secret incantation, but she held back till her birthday dinner book banquet to try it out. And I happened to discover it, which is quite a coincidence too. Otherwise, Hannah Swinson wouldn't have been the only one to die so suddenly. I thought about it seriously for a few minutes and said, "There are three, neither too many nor too frequent. Furthermore, there was nothing that indicated someone's involvement and guidance." Azik nodded slightly. As April Rosell once said, a single coincidence is encountered by anyone. Twice is still normal. Thrice is when one should consider what internal factors or influences those coincidences. Can you tell me anything else? Probed. Zik laughed and shook his head. I can only tell that there's some disharmony, but nothing else. You have to understand that I'm not a real seer. Isn't that basically equal to saying nothing? Mr. Azik is quite odd. He's playing a charlatan in front of a charlatan like me. Klein let out a breath. He's seizing a moment when Azik stood up, he pinched his glabella and activated his spirit vision. When he looked over, Azik's aura fully appeared before his eyes and everything seemed fairly normal. Unfortunately, I can only see ether body and astral projection of a person above the grey fog. Clan thought carefully, carefully as he tapped his glabella again while standing up. Chapter 99 Red Chimney. In the afternoon, Klein returned home and drew the curtains, allowing his room to slip into darkness. He took out his pen and paper and thought for a long time, finally writing down a sentence. The kidnapping of Elliot was due to beyonder elements. As a seer, Klein tried to divine if those coincidences were a consequence of unnatural developments, but the results showed otherwise. This time, he was influenced by Azek to look into these events again. He also drew lessons from the suited clown. He seriously designed an appropriate divination statement, eliminating any descriptions that might be vague or cause confusion. Yes, I should break down the three coincidences and divine them separately. Klein nodded in thought as he slowly removed the topaz from his wrist. He held the spirit pendulum with his left hand and allowed it to hang close over the divination statements on the paper. He collected himself and entered a state of cogitation. With his eyes closed, Klein started chanting repeatedly. The kidnapping of Elliot was due to beyonder elements. As he recited the statement over and over again, Klein opened his eyes and looked at the pendulum, only to see Topaz turning clockwise slowly. It's still a negative, Klein muttered to himself. He designed several other divination statements, but the result persisted. There was nothing strange about that incident. He then separately divined the events of Ray Bieber's stay in Tingen and Selina's magic mirror divination incident, but the answers for both were normal. Hmm. Was I a real seer, frightened by the charlatan Mr. Azek? Beside Captain and the others didn't feel anything was off. Clyde laughed and shook his head, but he remained cautious. He planned on using the dream divination technique to get a full get a final confirmation. After some thought, he changed the divination statement to fit the change in method. The true reason for Elliot's kidnapping. As he scribbled with the fountain pen, Clan paused and pondered over his words. After reading it over and over again, he tore the slip of paper and walked towards his bed. He relaxed and laid down. With the divination statement in hand, Klein quickly fell asleep with the help of cogitation. He found himself in a contorted, broken world. Regaining his senses, he began swimming through the blur. Gradually, he saw the few kidnappers. He saw them lose their final chip at a gambling table, saw them obtain guns from underground sources, and saw them survey the area. They even rented the apartment across Ray Bieber's apartment as their hideout. This didn't form a continuous scene. Instead, they were presented in a form of flashing pictures. Clan couldn't find anything that was abnormal. Furthermore, it had also aligned with the statements given by the kidnappers. After exiting the dream, clients separately divined the other two incidents but had the same result. Their developments followed logic. The coincidences were really coincidences. I was indeed overthinking things. Mr. Azik is merely a divination enthusiast. Clarence stabilized his pendulum and shook his head with a bitter smile. He was about to draw the curtains and allow sunlight in the room when he froze. From the original client's impression of Mr. Azek, he is a dependable and trustworthy person. He had never once said anything baseless. Even if he was always quarreling with Mentor, it was limited to academic topics and each of them had their reasons. If he was truly a mere divination enthusiast, he wouldn't have interacted with me like that. And the memories of original client had nothing about him liking divination. Of course, this could be due to the loss of corresponding memories. Clan frowned and couldn't ease his worries. He needed a way to confirm this. He suspected that Mr. Azik had unwittingly come across some insider information and was trying to remind him by using divination as an excuse. How should I confirm this? Klein paced back and forth across the dark room, trying to recall other divination techniques he knew. One step, two steps, three steps. He suddenly halted as an idea came to him. Let's assume that these coincidences are dubious. I am unable to divine the results either because my sequence isn't high enough or I am being affected by outside interference. But I can change my environment. I can change my environment to some place that is even more mysterious and even harder to understand. Klein felt pumped. He opened his drawer and took out his silver dagger. He concentrated and allowed his spirituality to flow out from the tip of the dagger, becoming one with his surroundings. With each step he took, the wall of spirituality sealed off the entire room. Klein planned on doing the divination above the grey fog to do the divination in that mysterious world. In the magnificent ancient divine hall above the endless grey fog, Klein sat at the seat of honor on one end of the bronze table. Before him was a piece of goat skin he willed into existence. He lifted a pen and drawing, writing the divination statement as he previously had. The kidnapping of Elliot was due to beyond the elements. He held the spirit pendulum and hung it low. Lion quickly composed himself as he turned silent and ethereal. Half closing his eyes, he recited the statement 7 times, using his spirituality to interact with the spiritual world that stood above all. Feeling the tug of the silver chain, Clan opened his eyes to look at the pendulum. The sight made him freeze immediately. The pendulum was spinning clockwise. This meant that there was a beyond element behind Elliot's kidnapping. This was completely different from the result he had gotten in the outside world. There were no traces of any interference. Such power or means is terrifying. What's the motive of the person behind this? Is my fate intertwined with the Antigonus family's diary? Klein was immediately shocked, immensely shocked. He shot He lost his calm and the rotation of the pendulum slipped into chaos. He put down the topaz and rubbed his glabella. His expression was abnormally grave. After contemplating for a few seconds, he didn't attempt to divine the other two events. Instead, he wrote a new divination statement, the true reason of Elliot's kidnapping. He held the paper in his hand and recited the statement 7 times. He leaned back and fell into sleep above the grey fog. Soon he saw a boundless, illusory grayish-white fog. The fog dissipated slowly, revealing a colorful lawn filled with flowers. The scene behind the flowers and the plains was folding into itself, like a monster had come alive. Klein tried his best to look forward, barely making out an image of dark red chimney. At this point, the scene before him shattered, putting an end to his dream. Klein abruptly straightened his back in the majestic divine hall. His heart was beating wildly without reason. Phew, it felt like I had just spied on a terrifying thing. He took 2 deep breaths to stabilize his emotions. Tap, tap, tap. Client tapped on the side of the table some time later and slipped into deep thought. Red chimney, garden, lawn. How is this related to the person behind all of this? I cannot determine his motive from the coincidences, nor can I conclude that there is an evil intent. In the midst of this thinking, Clan felt alarmed for himself, Captain, Fry, and the others. We are like puppets dancing on a string. What's even scarier is that we thought so highly of ourselves. Fine. I don't know how to raise this matter to Captain O'Neill's divinations produce the same result as mine in the outside world. If they asked me to confirm it in front of them, I have no way of doing that. Clyde rubbed his temples as if he had a headache. After nearly 20 seconds of calm, he began divining the event of Ray Bieber's stain Dingen. Similarly, he first used spirit dowsing. This time, Klein was shocked to see his topaz hang motionless. It was neither an confirmation or rejection of the statement. Strange, he muttered. He tried to guess the reasons for this phenomena. The person behind this has sensed my divination and engaged in countermeasures. Following this, he tried the dream divination technique, but all he saw were fragmented pieces of fog. He no longer made any new discoveries. The results of mirror Selina's magic mirror divination incident were the same. Client could almost confirm his conjecture at this point. See, since he had no way of notifying Captain Dunn Smith for the time being, he had an unprecedented motivation to improve his abilities. I must head to Divination Club later and quickly succeed in my acting to digest the seer potion. Also, I have to confirm whether the clown potion is indeed the subsequent sequence of seer, as well as gather clues about it. In addition, I have to interact more with Mr. Asik and see if I can dig up whatever inside information he holds. Klein held his forehead with his right palm and quickly drew up a plan and determined his focal point. After some thought, a goat skin appeared in front of him again. He picked up his pen and wrote, corresponding sequence 8 of sequence 9, seer is clown. From his prior experience, the present client was completely convinced that his divination abilities were augmented and enhanced above the grey fog. Just like how raids are usually successful, is this the result of having good luck? He muttered and picked up his spirit pendulum. Sometime later, client received a definitive answer. Corresponding sequence 8 of sequence 9 seer was clown. He then wrote on a piece of paper again. The corresponding sequences 8, 7, 6, and 5 of seer would grant at least one brand new unrelated power. Klein exhaled as he tried spirit dowsing again. However, he saw Topaz hang motionlessly without any rotations. There isn't enough information to complete the divination and receive a revelation, he muttered to himself while seemingly deep in thought. Then he set down his silver chain and began considering the required statement for a dream divination. Nearly 20 seconds later, he picked up his fountain pen and wrote seriously, close to the clown potion. Hmm. Okay, let's stop here for today. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye bye.